Hey, happy Thursday, everybody, and welcome to the Boilon Lord of the Rings Heroes of Middle-earth channel. We have another video here today to talk about the game, and I do want to say that really quickly before we get into today's topic, if you haven't already, make sure to check out I'm sure you're here on the channel already, but if you haven't checked out the original video, the very first video that we started here on Lord of the Rings, the Ultimate Global Launch Beginner's Guide, then I would recommend that. We're not going to be talking about things from that in today's video. We're going to be talking about something completely different. And what is that? We're here to talk about gold. And I know this might be a very basic thing to talk about, but I have quite a bit of it, and I've been able to not only save my gold, but also be able to gain quite a bit of gold throughout my gameplay and not be stuck. I've seen a lot of players, and I've talked with a lot of players so far who kind of feel like they don't have enough gold, and part of that is because they're perhaps using it in the wrong way. And so I want to go over how I use my gold, how I get my gold, and how you can get even more of that. So if you're ready to go, everybody, then let's boil this down. Now, I want to start here in the supply store because this is really important, because this is where you'll have the opportunity to spend gold. Not that you should be spending your gold on all of this, but there are a few things that I do spend my gold on, and it's these crystals, because these are the heaviest bottlenecks in the game for gear. So I'm not a heavy spender. I do want to say that just straight out of the gate, I did buy a crystal pack, a small crystal pack, but that's all I plan on doing. So for those of you who, are used to following my content from Marvel Strike Force, I tend to be a very, very light spender. In this instance, I decided to go for one gem pack because I think that it's going to be really important for using that kind of resources for campaign energy and guild energy, which we talked about a little bit in the first video as well. So luminous crystals and the dark crystals, whatever their name is, I forget. These are the things that are worth purchasing for 2,300 gold. The essences, these are basically from Marvel Strike Force. These are like stat catalysts. I don't know. It's up to you. It's going to start stacking up if you do this, and we'll talk about what our daily income of gold is, because I have a spreadsheet for this. And for those of you who are new to the Boilon channel, I tend to do a lot of videos in relation to numbers and and breaking those down for you guys to be able to understand a bit better. So I do buy these from time to time, only if that's what I'm missing to get my gear piece done. But other than that, I typically don't. This can start adding up a lot though, and I also don't usually buy these. Are in Marvel Strike Force terms, I'd call them origin gear pieces, but they're just, standard pieces that you're gonna have to farm. And these are farmable, like out of the 6/8 energy nodes infinitely. So as long as you have the energy, you can farm this kind of stuff. I don't also typically buy any of this. So the only things I really do buy is the crystals, because I think those are going to be the most important and the most bottlenecked, in my opinion. Now, I want to show you guys my roster, because I've seen the rosters of some other people, and that explains why their gold is as low as it is. So what am I focusing on? I focus on my main 5 light and 5 shadow characters, and that's it for just now. Now, some of you guys might think that's a little bit crazy, but it's not, and that's why I've been able to maintain as much gold as I have been. Now, I do have a couple of harder characters, because these are characters I'm more keeping my eye on. I'm not necessarily actively leveling and gearing them right now, mainly because I do kind of use these characters to fulfill my daily objectives. So the level 1 character and the equip 1 gold 1 gear piece, and so these guys at low gear tier just makes it really easy to do that, and so I just do that once a day, and that's what I do there. There are a few characters that you might see leveled up a little bit, and that's mainly because they were a means to an end until I unlock newer characters. So the goblin character, the goblin tank Grimpa, I unlocked him out of guild chapter 2-1, and that's because he fulfilled like a 5th shadow spot until I got somebody better, until I unlocked Ironhide, and that was really it. I just kind of used him in the early game a little bit. Frodo, I ended up dipping from him as soon as I was able to get a better 5th character. I actually used Frodo a little bit instead of Éowyn, and I realized my faults later on, because Éowyn was just a much better character overall, and in the early game I was skeptical, but no, the Éowyn leader ability is just insane. So that Pippin I still use for the light campaign though at this point in time. There are other characters that I unlocked that I don't use. Morzha for the Isengard. He would be the 4th Isengard orc that you unlock. I don't think he's very good. I think that he's not worth using over some of the other characters that I do use, like Wu Beite, who is in my 5th position. I have the Isengard 3, and then I have Wu Beite, because he has an AoE slow grenade, and that's really, really good. And then, of course, the Ironhide Troll as well. So that kind of makes up my shadow team here. And one other character, one other character that I did end up leveling up, but that was, again, as a means to an end because I didn't have anyone else, was Edric. You can find him early on in Guild 1-3 or something around there, I want to say. And so I did unlock him because I didn't have any other shadow characters unlocked at that point in time. So I did gear him up a little bit, but then I ended up dropping him as well, like I said, for some of the characters in the shadow side. The rest of them, stay at level 1, because there's absolutely no reason at this point, unless I have a reason to actually bring them up, then I don't need to do that, because you want to focus on your main 10. That's basically what it is. Your arena team is going to be made out of characters from your light side and your shadow side, and you want to focus on those characters for your campaign, and that's really it. There are other characters that you might need to bring up as far as challenges go, but realistically, you don't have to, because this one right here, this Dark Relics, is the only one that you may have to invest in a couple of extra characters. So I only have like 3 Isengard orcs that are geared right now. I don't have any other orcs or elves at this point in time. So you will probably need, if you wanted to go a little bit further on this challenge, you will need 2 more characters than what I currently have. And so that's something to consider there. But the rest of them, they have tags that are very, at least for the 10 characters that I'm leveling up, do fit in this category. The ability materials, the humans and goblins, all the Rohirrim are humans as well. I don't use goblins, they suck. Light side characters, that's pretty easy. Tank and healer, again, pretty easy with the characters that I have leveled up on those 10 that I mentioned, and then shadow. So all of this is, pretty easily obtainable and achievable with the current characters that I'm using. So there's not really a big problem as far as the challenges side of goes. Now, I want to show you one thing here, and this is the I'm dubbing it the Lord of the Rings gold calculator. And so I've broken down, I know there's not a lot of places where you get gold, but I did break it down a little bit, where you get your gold, how much gold you get, and what you can kind of expect on a daily basis depending on where you're farming. So the ways that you get regular energy, of course, 288 is your time-based energy. This is actually the same as Marvel Strike Force, but it's, 1 energy per 5 minutes. If you do up to your 150 gem refreshes, you get 360 additional energy there. That's 120 per refresh. You can get 3 of those in Lord of the Rings. Then you have your 3 time-based refreshes. This will vary, I think, a little bit based on your own time zone, but you get 45 of regular energy and guild energy each time, so 3 times total. That's 135. You also do get 85 energy from just clearing your daily objectives, so that gets added up into the pool as well, and that gives you a subtotal of 868. And we'll talk about in a different video about what I farm and why you should farm those characters. This is really just focusing on gold so that you guys have a good way of managing your gold resources, which is going to be really important. So depending on if you're early game or a little bit further in, you're going to get a different amount of node-based gold. You'll probably see very early on, and actually even early on, it's less than what I've mentioned here. But, for the most of the game, once you get past farming the green stuff or the early green stuff, you're going to be getting about 280 gold per 6 energy. And so I've calculated that based on the 868, and if all you do is just farm 280 gold. And that's going to be about 40,500 gold on campaign energy if that's what you do there. Now, later on, especially where I'm at and around like Chapter 4 and above, you can get nodes where you're farming blue gear and you're going to get 500 gold per 8 energy. And this is a little bit more per energy than the above 6 energy. And so that gives you about 54,250. Now, you're not going to be entirely farming, those nodes, so that's probably not going to be how much gold you're going to get. It's probably going to be somewhere in between, but I just wanted to kind of share that with you guys there. There's also 2,500 from your daily objective gold. It's not a lot. And then 18,000 if you do Treasure Trove Tier 3. And now I've just basically I've done this over a week and then divided it into a daily total. So this is about 18,000 total if you're doing Tier 3 of Treasure Trove, which is pretty manageable. You can probably get that pretty soon within the first week of the gameplay. This gives you a early daily. Oh, sorry, we need to talk about the guild side too before we actually break down the subtotals. So there's not as much guild energy, and I'm not assuming that you're going to be refreshing this either because it's a bit of a premium energy cost. It costs 100 gems for a refresh here, but 144 is just your general time-based energy because you get half as much as you do in the real game. It's 1 energy per 10 minutes. You do get the 135 from the free refreshes, which makes that really important that you get those free refreshes in at the time for your account. That gives you 279 of your subtotal, but how much gold you're going to get is going to depend on what guild chapter you're farming. So guild chapter 1, which a lot of people are going to do in the early game, you get 510 per attempt. So that's going to be about 18,000 gold there. Guild chapter 2, which there's only the one goblin, but the ability material you get out of that is more. You're going to get about 21,600. Guild Chapter 3 is actually where I farm a lot right now because that gives purple ability material and it gives a little bit more gold as well. And I don't need as many shards as I do from the Guild Chapter 1 that I did in the early game. And so I'm getting about 26,000 a day just farming the Guild Chapter 3, not counting any additional refreshes. So creating that subtotal then, you're looking at about 79,000 for an early daily total and about 96,000 for an advanced daily total. Advanced daily total is including numbers like the Guild Chapter 3 and these higher nodes, the 500 per 8 energy there. So you get anywhere to, I would say on the lower end here, maybe if you're not quite this far yet still, maybe around 75,000 to about 96,000. So that's kind of your daily total, and you should think about that as you get towards like level 30, for example. So in the early game, it's not going to make a huge difference on your gold spending if you level characters up to like level 30. But once you get higher than that, things start to rack up. Like I'll show Edric, for example, because he's level 35. How much you need to spend per single level is a fair bit. It's about 7,000 gold, and also the XP tokens, which we'll probably need to talk about in a separate video as well. That's like training modules if you're coming from Marvel Strike Force. But like, just to go from 35 to 41, I'm looking at 56,000 gold. And that's creeping up to like my daily total of gold, which is, a fair bit. And if we want to take a look at some of my other shadow characters, just what the single cost, say, might be from 40 to 41. I have Mauher here because I haven't done this yet. And that's 12,000 gold. That might not seem like a lot, but say, for example, like 5 characters going to 40 to 41, like that's my daily total there. And that's not even including the XP, which I think is less, and I should have done that as well at the same time. So what does this tell you? That, things can get pretty expensive pretty quickly, especially later on. And I want to show people this. This is another way to get a lot of gold. This is a screenshot from my game from last night. I took a screen cap while I was playing, and I cleared this quest here finally. Reached level 25 with 5 shadow characters. This popped up in my quest log, and it's 150,000 gold. So looking at the totals that I just showed you in the spreadsheet, this is like 2 days worth of gold from one quest. So this stacks up really, really fast, and this isn't something that you should be ignoring. I'm kind of at it, and I have another one here. Reach 3 stars with 5 light characters for 150,000 gold. Such a lot. And there's ones before this that I've already done that get you 75,000 gold and, a lot of chunks of 75,000 gold. So you're going to want to go through these and make sure you clear these when you possibly can, because you're going to be seeing multiple days worth of gold just through completing these quests, which are things that you should be doing anyways. So as long as you can kind of make your way here, for me, like I'm kind of stuck at the moment because, I need to get 3 stars. That's going to be a little bit of a farm, and I'm going to have to, make my way through there. But nonetheless, there's going to be multiple days worth of gold waiting for me when I complete these quests. And I'm really happy about that there's additional ways. This game is going to be about gold management, especially in the early game when we're leveling up to level 60. You really need to figure out which characters you're going to be leveling up and using, which I've made recommendations about in my previous videos, and you should go watch that if you haven't. But making sure that you keep a little bit of a nest egg for your gold, because when you level up and get that next level up, you're going to need to spend that gold to then get all of those, well, at least your arena team, but then, possibly up to 10 characters to that next level for your campaigns. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on your resources. It's going to be really important, and that's going to be the end of this video, everyone. And there's going to be obviously lots of videos coming up ahead. Probably my next video is going to be talking about the best light characters, and I'm going to be breaking down those stats as well, and then we'll do the shadow probably after that as well. So that's the end of this video, everyone. And until next time, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you all later. Boilon signing out.